Thank you for listening in to another episode of Her Wild Outdoors. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and in honor of that, my sweet and dear friend Annie Gastelum has joined me for a conversation about how hunting, which has been a generational pass down from her grandfather to her father and brother and her, but how that has helped her heal through a traumatic incident. How hunting and being in the outdoors brings her back and balances her, how that affects her in her life. And I think that it's an important conversation to have. So listen in and let us know what you think. Thank you, everybody, for listening in to an episode of Her Wild Outdoors podcast. I am actually very excited about this episode. My sweet dear friend Annie is with me from Arizona. Annie, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Hi, Amy. Yeah, I'm so glad to hang out with you too this morning. Thank you.
You're welcome. We met. It was almost a year and a half ago that we had a conversation, and I think that it 100% connected our hearts, and we have not looked back since.
Yeah, it sure has.
I appreciated that conversation, but I'm very excited to have this one today. And you and I talked a little bit before I pressed record, and I don't know. I think I posted today about how being perfect isn't important, that it's how you deal with imperfection is what inspires people. And I think that each person has their story, and each person has actually multiple parts of their story that impact who they are today. And I'm excited to hear yours.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm excited to share my story.
Good. Well, you were from Arizona, and
yes.
We actually almost were sort of neighbors. What was that? A year ago,
I think so. I was pretty excited. I thought you were going to be the president. That didn't happen, though.
I know. I think we almost moved to Phoenix for 3 years, and I was actually more excited about being closer to you than anything else.
Yeah, that would have been great, Amy.
It would have been fun. Now, with everything going on, we probably would have been sent home early from that job, but everything works out the way it's supposed to, and but yeah, give us a little bit about who you are. And Arizona, I think, has been sort of your home your entire life, right?
Yes, hot Arizona. Yes, it has. Oh, it's a beautiful state. Yes, but it has always been my home.
Mm-hmm. Where were you born?
In Tucson.
Okay.
Which is, maybe about an hour south from here. So
when we talk about hunting and the outdoors, I remember, and I've just from our conversation before and your Instagram page and Facebook and all of that, and conversations that the outdoors and hunting has always been a part of your growing up.
Yeah, it sure has, Amy. Just I don't think, because you're from a small town, that you're more prone to being outdoors or, into, being brought into hunting and fishing and all that. You can be from a city, but definitely was born and raised up to learn about hunting and being outdoors. And that was all to my dad.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, tell me a little bit about that, just about growing up in a family like that and with your dad.
Yeah. So we have siblings. I have 2 sisters and a brother, and my brother and I are close, and we've done a lot of hunting together and still do till this day. My sisters are, they love the outdoors as well, but they've never been much to take on the hunting, so, but they do enjoy being out during that time and participating still and just, being there.
Yeah.
See, in each way, we're all uniquely different. So it's not to say, well, you don't hunt or fish or, but being outdoors or just doing, what you want to do that's what it comes down to.
It's very
It's just
true.
for me. Yeah. It's just for me. I liked it, just seeing my dad and how, it inspired him. And from when he told me of him being little and doing things, getting out there and learning on his own and with his brothers. And so it's always been like, it's time for family too, to be together and share that experience and stories and the outdoors. It's just a way to bring family and friends together. And I think that's what I really fell in love about being outdoors, and whether hunting, fishing, or just anything outdoors, particularly, is just being with your family and friends. It's just time with each other, and don't waste that. If you have that time to do that with each other, then,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that our time with our family outdoors is irreplaceable. Whether we're hunting or fishing or hiking or just being outside, it's irreplaceable because there's the distraction of, I don't want to say real world, but the distraction of technology and school, and like all of those distractions are to the wayside, and we can just kind of hone in on where we are in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of a way to kind of step back in time in a sense, because we are so wrapped up with technology and our faces in the phones and stuff like that. And so disconnecting and getting away and giving yourself a chance to kind of get some mental clarity, and it's very therapeutic and healing. And it's just, you don't realize when you're out there, you just feel so weightless. Your shoulders drop, you can breathe, and this is like for a moment, you got to get back to life, work, bills, all this other stuff. But when you're just there in nature and everything around you, the sounds, everything is just, you're not, for that moment, just, all that goes away, all the stresses of the world and all of that. So it's nice. That's another great part about me being outdoors is just that part. It's just, I don't think about anything. I'm just free.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think that I think mine goes a little bit both ways. I think for the most part, I feel that weightlessness feeling that you're talking about. And I think that the other part, especially if I'm alone, is kind of processing through some things that I might not have processed through before. And I think that it's just a little mix of both. But I've noticed that my kids have been able to let go of things that, whether they're anxious about it or stressed about it, or they've been able to let go and just be in that moment. And I remember you telling me that there's a lot of history that comes up when you're hunting, especially with your family. Just talking about the smells and the sights and where you are, that it takes you back in history and it brings up the past of who has been hunting, who's been around you at deer camp, being able to think back and sit there in the same spots and kind of live in the past through stories and things that people pass on. And I love that part.
I know, me too. Isn't that wonderful? We have those memories and just to, like, I even said, like certain smells, sounds and stuff, it's a lot of things can just bring back things in a snap. It's like, but to have that and reflect on those, it's part of who we are. So gosh, it's nice to have those stories and memories, especially when, our past loved ones too, that we learned a lot, being that my father, he's been past 8 years now too, but I mean, every day I think of something, but especially even when I'm outdoors or hunting, and just a lot of things that he just instilled in me. And it's just like, wow. And I'm just so grateful, and I'm appreciate that feeling in that moment and that memory. And I'm just hold on to it. You know?
Yeah. How old were you when you first went to deer camp?
I was, like, after high school,
Okay,
again,
yeah.
I just being raised, me being the only girl, and my dad didn't really think like me being, with all the uncles and cousins. So I waited till I guess after high school, and I was able to finally get out there.
I kind of want to know what's one of the most memorable stories that you remember hearing, just there sitting around, whether you were eating or processing or butchering, whatever you were doing. What's one of the stories that stands out to you that was passed down at deer camp?
Oh, my goodness.
Look, I'm calling you out on it. I didn't even prep you for that one. I'm trying to think of, because I didn't have those kind of experiences, and we don't necessarily over here on the East Coast. I've never been to a deer camp, and my family didn't hunt. So I don't remember sitting around hearing about the past. I remember my grandfather, about a year ago, I was on the phone with him, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember when I was working for the forestry department." He said, "I remember in Arizona, actually." He was living in Arizona. And he said, "I remember going on horseback with a couple of buddies, and they were going turkey hunting. And they would ride horseback through a huge flock of turkey and disperse them, just chaotically spread them out. And then they'd find a hiding place and wait for them to come back together. And that's how they would turkey hunt." You don't do that anymore.
Well, when we get together and we're all like cousins and uncles and friends and stuff, and everybody just kind of reminisces over their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And but usually, actually, moments that I remember being just alone with my dad or my brother out there on the mountain, whatever, and it just be talking about like our lives. And my dad, it was my one-on-one with him too, and just on stuff like be a good person. We talk about just don't be afraid to be who you are, and you're gonna go through things, experience things. It was always about life. You honestly, you think about it, you're sitting on a mountain, you're hunting. Yeah, we did talk about deer and stuff like that, and he'd teach me things, but it was a lot about just living life, and him being a father to me, and sharing his experiences as a young person, and then things that he's gone through, and just his growth too. I've just so much respect for my dad for not only just showing us what he instilled in us of what he loved, but him being as a person, and the father that he was, and just appreciate those moments, like those talks, and being out there on the mountain. Those are
the big takeaways. Yeah. It's character development, right?
For sure.
I think it's those moments where there's nothing moving, or I guess where you're glassing, or you're looking for those are the moments that I have found with my own kids, that you get to have those conversations. It's kind of a low stress situation. It's like I have some of the best conversations out in the woods or in the car, because there's nowhere for you to go. You're just together. And it's an easy way to just throw something in that might be pretty heavy at the time, but it doesn't feel heavy because you're out there. And yeah, I believe 100% that so much character development comes from hunting and fishing and hiking, and just being out there, whether it's how you take your steps over rocks, to how you are as a person, to how you treat others. It all kind of filters in through those conversations.
That's right.
Yeah. I love that you had that. I think that a lot of people growing up look back and they don't have those moments, especially with a dad, like a daughter to a dad. And I don't know. I was very grateful for, even though my dad's I have a dad and a stepdad, and they're both my dad. And I remember having date nights with my dad, and it might have been to McDonald's. It might have been to who knows what, but it was specific time that he purposefully made time for me, just me, not anybody else. It was just me. And I still look back on those date nights as like character development. And we talk about things that were important to him and stories of him growing up and what impacted him. And it's storytelling, right? That passes down that character development.
Yes. And then also, as you are now, who you are now, a grown woman, a mother, but you talking about like that, it's also, he was letting you know you were important to him.
Yeah.
And had a voice, and being whatever age you were little, and you have your thoughts and your feelings. And so time with him, and like my time with my dad, that was, and I wasn't, that communication was open. So I was never afraid to say what I had to say or what I was feeling, because my dad made it feel so comfortable. And my mom's the same too. She's easy to talk to and stuff as my dad. And just because, my mom's, she's never hunted either. She's loved the outdoors and stuff too. But when time out there like that, and with my dad on the mountain and stuff like that, that was special time,
Yeah, I love that. Did she ever go to deer camp, even though she didn't hunt? Was she at deer camp?
You know what? From my memory, I can't recall if we ever went out there, us girls just to visit, or I don't think we ever did. That doesn't recall to mine. And, but when we'd go camping up north and stuff, yeah, we'd all go as family and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think that we each have different things that we bring to the table. And so your love for the outdoors comes on both sides of it, because of both sides of your family, on your mom and your dad, because you do so much hiking and exploring with your sisters that I think that probably came from an impact from your whole family, not just from hunting. The appreciation for the outdoors comes from your mom and your dad. And I think that makes us it makes us well-rounded in our appreciation for nature.
Yes, I think it definitely does, especially if you're raised that way. It's just kind of, but I mean, you can obviously at any time, anywhere, just get out there and appreciate it. It's just being out there, and whether you're raised out doing that or not. So
it's true. Yeah. How old were you when you took your first deer?
Oh, 98.
98, yeah.
Yeah, I was like early 20s.
Yeah. That was I was early 30s when I took my first deer. And I think that moment in time will always be you never forget your first time, right? Were you surrounded by your dad and your brother at the time?
It was actually my brother.
Yeah.
That hunt, yeah.
Was it mule? Were you hunting mule deer, or what were you hunting?
It's a Coues whitetail.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I still, there are so many. We were talking last night. We ate black buck for dinner last night, and it was a gift that was shared with us. And we started talking about all of the different species out there of wild game that you can eat, that you can hunt, that you can, I guess, just be a part of. And we are so lucky in the United States to have access at one point or another to so much, especially you guys over on the western side of the U.S. What all do you have in Arizona that you have hunted?
It's Coues, whitetail, and mule deer.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And we have other species too that can be hunted, but I know here in Arizona it's Coues whitetail.
Okay. Yeah. You were taking, when I had, and I'm going to go back and fix what I said. We have actually been friends for 2.5 years. But the conversation that we had 2.5 years ago, you were about to take your sister-in-law out on her first hunt.
Yes, was right. And yeah, we weren't successful. We had a couple of misses, but that's how it goes. It's not always, it's just how it goes.
That is how it goes. But I just remember how excited you were. That you weren't even, because when I had asked you, what are your goals coming up? And that
Yeah.
was the one thing that you were focused on. And it kind of shows your heart for others, huge heart for others. Because that was all that you could talk about was how excited you were about that.
Yeah, and it wasn't successful as in tagging out, but it was a successful hunt because it was just, when you're out there working for it and enjoying everything and the whole experience, it's just successful that way, no matter what. So
talk about character development. I think that's when the biggest development of our character happens, is when you are having to work hard for something and sometimes it just doesn't come to fruition, and you get so many more takeaways from those adventures, for sure.
Yeah, I never look at any hunt, successful or not. It's just always just a good time.
It's true.
So I don't ever think of it as, this didn't happen, but just because sometimes that's the way it goes, and that's okay. But it's being out there and experiencing it all. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. And seeing it from somebody else's viewpoint, it is also exciting when you're a part of somebody else's hunt. I think it doesn't always have to be my hunt that I am gaining so much from. It can just be from seeing it from somebody else's viewpoint that really excites me and brings joy to me.
Me too.
Yeah. You started going to deer camp kind of right after high school, but there has been a time in your life where you took a break.
Yes, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was when you go through something, which, I want to talk about that because it's important. So actually tomorrow is going to be my late husband's anniversary of him passing. And what happened was he took his life, and I witnessed that. And with all of that happening, and after all of that, my life stood still for a while, and anger and the guilt and the fear and all these emotions that I never thought I could ever feel, but they were just to look at a gun or think of touching it or picking it up and shooting it. Just it was not even in my mind to think like I could do that again. It wasn't the gun's fault. It's just time had to go by before I, with help as well for myself, that I had to realize that it wasn't the gun's fault. It's just, mental illness is serious, and actually May is Mental Health Awareness Month too. So it kind of touches my heart more because, I've, seen somebody deal with mental illness and somebody that, dealt with not being happy and had other attempts, and it was very difficult and very hard for me to, see somebody, when you love somebody, to see them drowning and you can't do anything to help them. And it's just, I just couldn't deal with it, and I didn't want to even bother with it. And it wasn't that I didn't want to hunt anymore either. It never entered my mind. It just, again, that part of that moment in that my life just kind of stopped.
Yeah. And I think that's okay though, right? I think that each person processes grief differently. I know what it's like to be on that side of watching somebody drown, like you were talking about, in the weight of mental illness, of depression, of anxiety, I know what it's like to see somebody and not be able to help. I know what it's like to grieve that person going through it. I do not know what it's like to go through what you have gone through, but I do know that grief looks different for every single person.
Yeah, it sure does, because it affects us different, and so it's just but time went by, and I think it was 4 years after he had passed. I just my brother had wanted to go up to Montana, and he had invited me. He said he had an antelope hunt, and so I thought, yeah, sure, let's go road trip and get to hang out with you. And he was excited to go. His first antelope too, and so I was like, an adventure for sure. And so we went and got up there, and little did I know, he surprised me and had gotten me a tag for antelope too. And
Oh.
and I looked at him and he looked at me, and he's just like, like that look. He knew,
Yeah.
because since the incident, I didn't again look at a gun, pick up a gun, or and he's, I knew I was gonna have to do this. So, and it just happened. I felt like, I guess, I need to get back to doing what I do, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be afraid. And I realized, again, with when the help that I got to, that I couldn't blame the gun and stuff. And it's just, I know what it does, and what it is for, and the respect for it. It's just, again, when somebody is hurting, for them, it's just a means for them. It's not really what it's. So I just knew it was maybe my time, because I felt it, and I just was. But yes, I had to do a little bit of practice shooting, and I did that, and it was emotional and hard for me, and I was shaking crazy and crying, and but it was a big relief, actually. It really was, because it just was a little bit of weight off me, because and part of my healing too, because I couldn't let that part intimidate me, or again, the fear of that hold me back, because it wouldn't be a healthy thing for me. It's about healing and moving forward and growing. And so when that all happened, and it just, it was, I felt so much lighter, and I was like, I am healing. I am growing. I can do this. This is who I am. This is what I like to do. So, and it was a fun hunt. It was successful. My brother was able to get his antelope, and me too, and we had great time and good memories, and from then on, I'm continuing.
Right. But you had that support system. You had your brother who knew when to hold back, and he also knew when to push in a little bit. And I think without those people in our lives to know where that boundary is, to know what we need in the moments that we need it, I think that I feel for people who go through tough situations and they don't have that support. I think it's so vital to our healing process to have loved ones and friends who stand beside us and carry us through it during those times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I kind of think back, because I think if he would have mentioned it before, even just like on the road going to Montana, or even before us leaving, I think he might have known that I would have been more scared and just thought, no, I better not go, or I think he knew what he was doing and helping me too. And it was, I think back about it, and I think my brother did a good thing for me.
Yeah, he did. And I am grateful for it, because I have met you through your healing process of getting back into hunting and back into the outdoors. And I think that that's something that you can look back on now and see how your life has impacted even just mine. And I think I've talked to many a woman who have dealt with not just mental illness, but PTSD. And depending on certain circumstances, how nature has healed them, and how not necessarily that nature has healed them, but being in nature and being able to be outdoors, and whether it's hunting or fishing or hiking or backpacking, whatever they are doing, being able to, like we said earlier, feel that weightlessness and that lack of distraction, and being able to heal through being in the outdoors. I think God made a pretty spectacular world.
He sure did.
For us to find that healing. I mean, just stepping outside in my backyard barefoot on the ground and feeling the cool grass in between my toes and the breeze blowing on me. I don't even have to go into the woods to feel that. But I think it just kind of takes us and allows us to breathe, whereas you can feel almost like a rock is on your chest sometimes.
It's for sure, because I do have PTSD, so that's another part about why I do like being outdoors, because it's just my place to really disconnect and be happy, and it's just my therapy place. It's makes me happy.
Now, you also are a photographer. You're a beautiful photographer. You love capturing those moments as well, especially on your hikes. Some of the things that you've been able to capture has made me want to come and be where you are.
Yes, you can come on over.
We're gonna plan it, I promise.
We will have to.
Yeah. I think you and I kind of grasped a little bit of connection because you also work in the healthcare industry, right?
Yes, I did.
I think that there's a connection that people who have cared for others feel for each other. I don't know. Just from the first moments that I talked to you, I felt this connection. And I think it's because of the giving side of who you are. I don't think I've ever seen a story or a video or anything where you've posted, and I know it's social media, but I get this from you on the outside of that as well, just of encouragement and honestly pure joy. Like, I know that you have gone through and still are going through, because it affects your life for the rest of your life when you experience something like you've experienced. But you have found joy afterwards. You have found places where joy just comes through your face and through your skin and through who you are and what you say. And it is appreciated by me. And I know by others, but it is definitely appreciated by me.
Well, thank you. I know can't do it without family and friends, but definitely my faith, and helps me to hold on to hope and joy, and to keep persevering, so, and try to help others in ways that I can. So,
yeah, I think that that's the best word. That I love that you just said it, persevering. It's, I think a lot of people see healing as, oh, yay, you're healed. That's not how it works. It is. And perseverance is actually, it can be pretty painful when you are pushing through something that you don't want to push through. When you have to go through therapy, thank goodness for therapists and counselors and friends that listen, because I think that that's an important part of healing as well. But I think that you have to persevere through dealing with things in order to come out on the other side. And so I love that you use that word. I think it's one of my favorite words. in the English dictionary and honestly in the Bible is perseverance. And so I'm glad you used it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I kind of live by that motto, just every day trying my best. And because it is hard every day in some ways. It's just, but I know that's for everybody because we're all just having to endure so much going on, in this world and things in our lives too. So,
yeah. I think that just going back to some of the things that you and I have talked about, authenticity and not necessarily just showing the good parts of life, because without the other side of it, you don't see the full character of a person. You don't understand where they're coming from. And I think that that's the negative side to social media, is not being able to understand who a person is because of their past, whether it was recent past or a past that has come from a long time ago. I think that it is vital to understanding who people are from where they're coming from, because, I'll get messages that are pretty negative, and I'll get comments that are pretty negative from people. And I constantly have to remind myself, I don't know who that person is. I don't know what they've had to deal with. They might just be a jerk, but they might be dealing with a whole lot of crap.
Yeah, we never know. It's kind of trying to be a little bit just compassion and I know it must be not easy getting stuff that are negative and stuff, but like you're thinking positive on that, just not knowing what that person might be going through or what could be going on in their minds. So
yeah, it's having patience with each other, right?
Yes, very much.
Having patience with each other, but also having, I don't know, leaving yourself the ability to have conversations privately versus publicly. I think that we can learn a lot taking away the keyboard and the screen and actually having a conversation on a phone call or in face-to-face. I think that we have lost that kind of relationship with others. I think we have grown our ability to touch other people and to reach other people and to affect other people. But I think that we have lost that intimate ability to relate to each other.
Yeah, I agree. I do that. I try to do that every so often, just reaching out to family and friends and, acquaintances, just checking in how they're doing and sharing something positive with them.
Yeah.
And some hope.
I think that goes along with what you're saying. Like, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I think that each person deals with a little bit. I think everybody is affected by mental illness. I think that mental health is so important. I've talked to Lindsay Persico just a couple of weeks ago, and she is all about body health and your physical health. But she said you can't fix that without also working on your mental health. And so I think that whether you're dealing with a mental illness yourself or with PTSD or with a family member or a friend who is in the deep, dark throes of it, I think that it's all of our responsibilities to reach out to people. I notice it's when my friends get quiet that they actually probably need a check-in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of times I'll think, oh, well, they just don't want to talk to me right now. Well, that might not be it. It might be that they need me to be the person to reach out. They might be hurting. They might be in a situation where they don't have the capacity to reach out. We all have our limit of emptiness, right? I have been very guilty of this in the past, of giving, because that's my personality. I want to feed somebody. I want to, give, but I forget that I need and I need to fill my cup before being able to give, or you become empty and then you become unhealthy yourself, and then you can't give like you would want to. And I think that that's in the past when I've looked through, it has been when I was quiet that I wasn't reaching out. I wasn't asking for help. I wasn't asking for the needs that I needed met. And I've had people who have reached out and said, "Hey, you're being really quiet. What's going on? Let's meet for lunch. Let's meet for coffee. Can I come to your house? Can I bring you a meal and let's sit around and have a conversation?" And I might have not even realized that I had gotten to that point, but at least I've had a friend who has realized, you're not how you normally are. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm a giver too, but I got to make sure to make time for myself too, because we're a priority for ourselves too, our well-being and our health too, and so we be able to do or give what we can of ourselves. We have to, again, like you said, I think make sure we're have our cup full.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a constant balance. It's a constant check, and I think that's you either have to be able to check yourself, or you have to put in your life friends who will help you check. And I think it's not a or situation, it's an and. You always need to be able to do both. And I think that goes along with keeping yourself healthy, keeping yourself at a place where that balance is where it needs to be. And I love that the outdoors can do that, because like you said, you can go with somebody on a walk, on a hike, and be gone for even just an hour, and you return feeling so much better because of that conversation that you've had out there. You can go on a hunt with somebody. And I think that's whereas I love solo hunting, I think hunting with somebody else feeds my soul in a different way. And that's a positive side to that.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Now, your brother and you still hunt together, right?
Yes, we do.
What was this past year like for you guys?
Yeah, it was fun. It was, and even my sister-in-law again, she on in this hunt as well. So, and we all had gotten our deer, so it was nice and it was fun.
Was it her first?
This was her actually first, because she went on the mule deer hunt, but that was, unsuccessful. But this last year, yes, she was able to get her Coues whitetail buck.
Oh, that's exciting. How did she take it?
Oh, she was, I wasn't with her because I had my sister with me on the other side of the mountain, and she had her kids with her son and her daughter, and they got to experience that too. And it was just, they came back and they were, it was just like a happy, seeing all their faces smiling. And she was just so elated and just like, buck fever, and she's,
yes,
excitement and stuff, but just, I just seen her, happy and just like excited, and she finally, know all this process and to get to that point where, she was able to do it, and she successfully, did a great job. That's what's nice, just seeing them together, and then she had her, like I said, and that must have been a fun moment to see their mom.
Oh, that's a huge moment. My kids have told me many a time, the first time that they were with us for a hunt where it completely went from, point A to point Z all the way through, they will remember that just as much as remembering their first harvest. And so I'm excited for your sister-in-law. I know that it's really tough to not have gotten that mule deer that first year, but how much sweeter was her success the next year in knowing how difficult it is. That's exciting. I'm glad that she was able to do that.
Yeah, it was. And again, just like she being like her first time and that not happening, just, but the expectation, and now with knowing what she's going into, I think it was, not saying it was easier, but just when you know what you're going into, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah, no,
And,
I get that. You have expectations and things change, right? Each hunt is different, but there's a little bit more calm before the storm when you've experienced something before.
yeah, I
Oh
think you
my
go in
goodness.
less scared.
Yes, I agree. I definitely agree. Do you guys have hunts planned this year yet? Has the draw come through?
For elk, yes, that's passed, but I didn't get drawn, and neither did my brother or Laura.
Oh,
My sister. The regulations for whitetail and mule deer, that's not out yet. So once that comes out, it should be coming up soon, a couple of days. The regulations come out, and then we can apply for. I don't know what I'm going to put in for, but I'm kind of thinking go back to mule deer, but I'm not sure yet. So I
it'll
can
be
weigh my.
exciting. It'll be
Yeah.
exciting. We put, let's see, I think our time where we can put in for elk in Tennessee is coming up. I think it's in June or July. And we put the kids in every year. They have a lifetime license, and they draw one youth tag every year. And so we will put them in for that. And then we put in for it. And I think I'm going to totally butcher this, but I think that last year 7 tags were given out for the whole state. And that's including non-residents too. So it's a pretty slim chance, but you still put in, right?
Yeah.
There's always hope.
Wow.
Yeah, there's always hope. But I did draw my mule deer for Montana this year.
That's what I was just going to say when you had noted that on I was like, oh, I'm so excited for you. Oh,
I'm excited. It'll be interesting to hunt a different species of deer because I've heard they're totally different from whitetail.
Yeah, they're mule deer, because for me, it's just a little bit, they're bigger, bigger body, but, terrain and Montana is going to be different.
Yes. Way different from a flat Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
Oh, I know. How exciting for you. I'm really happy for you on that.
I'm excited. I'm excited about the difference, but there's always that, like you said, with your sister-in-law, that first hunt, there's a lot of, well, what if, and how does this go? And a lot of questions, it's kind of like I'm a first-time hunter again, because it's going to be completely different than anything I've ever hunted before.
And it's your first hunt out west, right?
Yeah, I hunted in Texas a couple of weeks ago, but Texas is different, way different than the western part of like where you are, and Idaho and Montana, just that whole other side. It's my first time to hunt over in that area.
How exciting for you.
It will be, the process of getting ready for it will be full of laughter at myself, I think, and because I always have a sense of humor about things, but I think it'll be...
I said, and you have to. That's good. I'm the same way. I'm like, keep it, funny and just roll with it.
Yeah. I think that makes for a better hunter when you just admit, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm here to learn.
Just soak up every second and just have fun,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make
memories. Exactly. Oh, man. Well, I'm excited to hear about your draw for this year and to hear about your plans for next year. What have you got going on this summer?
Gosh, not much. It's just too hot to get out, for me to do things outdoors, but I'll do stuff, but I don't think I have really anything planned just yet. So, who knows? Soon to come. We'll see.
You're taking your one day at a time very seriously. And you guys are so close as a family. like your involvement with nieces and nephews and being just right there with them, able to walk through life with them means so much to you.
Oh, definitely. Yes, for sure.
They grow so fast, don't they?
Oh, they do. Oh my gosh. Oh,
They grow so fast. Well, I keep me posted on what you decide to put in for, because I want to be able to know what to cheer you on for. And Annie, I appreciate your ability to share who you are. And how far you've come, honestly. And I think that comes with all of us as we experience things and as we age, that it's how you move through these situations. It's how you react. It's how you respond. It's how you grow from them that shows the kind of character. I think that I interviewed Lisa one time, and she said it's adversity builds character. And without adversity, we aren't who we are. And so I am very proud to have you as a friend. I'm very honored to have you as a friend, but being able to know you, not just because of the things that have happened to you, but because of who you are because of those things, I respect it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that people are going to listen in and they're going to say, right on. And they're going to feel that they too have been through grief. They too have battled situations where they've had to come back in certain capacities. And I think that you are somebody that a lot of people can relate to. And so I appreciate your story for Her Wild Outdoors.
Oh, thank you, Amy. And sometimes we feel we are so alone in our own grief or in our own situation, but in some way we're kind of, again, every situation is different, but we can all be there for each other. So if I can help somebody in any way, I'm glad, to share my story and talk about it. And if others want to reach out to, they're more than welcome. They can message me.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because you're on Facebook as Annie Gastelum, but you're on Instagram as Camo Girl 1973, and yes. And you are so responsive to people and there to listen, there to counsel, but there just to encourage, and so I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, and you posted something a day or two ago and something about listening. And sometimes somebody just, wants that just to sit and, somebody to listen to them. And so
it's true. It's true. It's true. You just need to listen. You don't need to listen to respond. You just need to listen to hear somebody. Not everything has a solution, right?
So just listening is caring enough. Just
yes,
that support that person needs at that time.
It is so true. Very true. Well, thank you for being a part of our group of hunters and outdoorsmen and women who honestly care about each other. I greatly appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, Amy. I appreciate you too and all that you do. So keep it going.
Yes, ma'am. I will do it.
Okay.